Hi, I'm Ari, I'm the Oak Witch, and today's video is going to be about the best spell methods for beginners. So you're doing your research as a beginner witch and you're ready to start practicing and doing spell work, but what spells do you do? Where do you even begin? This video I want to outline some of the easiest spell methods for the beginner witch, and easiness referring to the skills required, the materials that you need, and general accessibility. So the first easy spellcrafting method for the beginner is petition magic, which literally just involves having a piece of paper and a pen. It's really simple manifestation magic. You have your desire, your intent, even a prayer perhaps, write it on a piece of paper, and you can then activate it, and then that's it. There are certain guidelines, so for example, I don't personally write on lined paper because I think the lines sort of constrict the intention onto the paper. Having like a blank piece of paper works well. If I'm writing a manifestation, I'll tear the edges of my petition, and tearing towards is for manifestation, and tearing away from you is for sending something away, for banishing. You could also get really creative. You could use a certain colour paper for a certain, colour correspondence, so incorporating colour magic. You could use symbolic magic, so tear in the shape of a heart for self-love magic, for example, and so on and so on. You can get really creative with your petition. There aren't really any rules. It does depend on perhaps the tradition that you're interested in. Another thing about petitions is that you want to write in present tense. With any manifestation magic, you don't want to manifest that you will always be doing something, so you want to put "I have a new job" instead of "I will have a new job." To keep that, manifestation present. This is something you already have, and you believe that you are already obtaining this, and that is how you would write your petition. People usually add like a tag lock, people add things like your full name, and then your date of birth, like full date of birth, and then your signature. Sometimes people write it and then turn it clockwise or anti-clockwise. So clockwise would be for manifestation, like something attracting something, and then turning anti-clockwise would be for sending something away and banishing. So people do that and then write it 3 times and then again write it 3 times. There's different ways to do it. Again, I think it just does depend on your tradition sometimes, but really, really simple. Pen and paper, and that's it. In terms of charging the petition, obviously when you're writing your intent on the petition, you can visualize it happening, charge it with that intent, meditation, energy work. In terms of activating the petition spell, you can burn it, with fire. You can write it on soluble paper like vegetable parchment and then put it in water. You could write it on like a dried leaf and then bury it. Or you could use it as a talisman, as like a charm, and carry it with you and recharge it. Yeah, there's different ways you can activate your petition, but overall that is how a petition magic works. So the next easy spell method is sigil magic, which is kind of similar to petition magic in that all you need really is a piece of paper and a pen. So a sigil is a handcrafted symbol that is made with a specific intention. The sigil making process generally involves having a manifestation statement in a concise sort of sentence, or just a word. Some people cancel out the vowels to make it more concise, and then using a specific method like the sigil wheel, or you can use magical alphabets like the Elder Futhark or the Theban, and you match the letters up to, the runes. You use one of those methods to make the sigil itself. You charge the sigil with meditation, energy work, with visualization, again with the manifestation intent being in present tense. This is something you are already seeing happening to you. Yeah, and you can hold the sigil in your hands, you can rub the sigil with friction energy, you can put the sigil out under the sunlight for a while, you know, using that solar energy or lunar energy. Methods which you would charge and activate a sigil are similar to the ways you would charge and activate a petition, like discussed in the prior point. With sigils though, you can carve them into candles if you want and let the candle burn all the way through in one go, so you're activating that sigil in full. So yeah, all you really need is pen and paper and that sort of outer knowledge, which is really easy to see and find online if you don't know them. Which leads me nicely onto my third point, which is candle magic. This one obviously requires a few more materials, but candles are generally low cost and they come in all different shapes and sizes and colours, and all those differences obviously can have an effect on your intent. For example, if you're gonna use a green candle, it might be for prosperity workings or for money workings, or if you're gonna use a skull carved candle, it might be for ancestor work. Candle spells themselves are really versatile. You can dress them in anointing oils and you can dress them also with herbs, and these oils and herbs can have specific correspondences related to your desired intent. As discussed before, you can carve in sigils or symbols, you can just carve in your intent if you want, just the word, runes, all sorts of things that you can do with candles. As a beginner, you might just want to use a tea light. You know, you can pull them out and you can carve into the tea light and then you can put them back in. And there you go, there's your candle spell. That's as simple as it needs to be, because ultimately the magic is within you, you know. The candle is just a tool to help direct that energy, and then once you obviously have done your work outside to the spell, that's it, you know, that's all you really need. And I do think candles are quite low cost. I guess it depends on your area, but at least in the UK, you can get like a pack of tea lights for like £1 at the Poundland store, like a pack of like 40 of them. In IKEA, I know you can get like a pack of 100 for like £4 or something. I think you can get packs of like tea lights in the dollar store, I've heard. So yeah, generally you can get packs of these for quite cheap. Birthday candles work really well for spells because obviously they burn quite quickly in one go. Sometimes when you have a candle like this, you know, this takes ages to burn. This is like hours that it takes for this to go all the way down in one go. So don't be afraid to just use birthday candles. And obviously they come in different colours, so that's great for colour magic too. But you can also get spells like these, and you can get these in spiritual shops or cult stores. It depends if you have those in your area. I think, you know, I buy these online as well, so. But they're great. They're essentially spell candles. You can pull them out. They're quite small. They do burn slightly longer than birthday candles, but again, not too long where you're just waiting hours and hours and hours. One thing I want to emphasize quickly is to practice fire safety. It is definitely worth doing some research on that before you start getting into candle spells, because you don't want to burn the house down. You know, you don't want to cause a fire, so just be careful with flames. If you're burning a candle like this, obviously you want to melt the end of the candle with fire carefully, and then stick it like that so then it can stand up on its own, and you want to do it on a fireproof dish. Just practice fire safety, do your research, don't burn your house down. So from here, obviously, candle spells can be literally as simple as you want or as complex as you desire. It really just depends on you, but the main thing really is having the candle and yourself, and that is pretty much all you need. So the next easy spell method for beginners are spell oils. Spell oils as a method itself is really versatile. It requires a few more materials. You essentially would need a jar. Yeah, I repurposed my jars from the kitchen. A carrier oil, grapeseed oil, sunflower, jojoba, almond, you name it, and herbs. So herbs can come in form of obviously just dried herbs, or they can come in form of essential oils. And of course the herbs that you choose depend on your intention. If I want to make a purification oil, I would pick perhaps the herbs rosemary, pine and sage, and pair that with a carrier oil. If it's dried herbs, I would put those into a jar, obviously, charge them with my intent, actually speak aloud why you're using that herb. I'm using pine for purification. Talk to the herbs and tell them why you've chosen them and what intention they are being used for. And you know, that could be a method of charging, so you can do it a bit more witchy, you know, make it into like a chant or a ritual. Visualize your intention as you're putting them in and charging the jar, and as you've done that with your herbs, you pour in the oil, and of course as they're dry herbs, it would need a while for the oil to actually be infused with the herbs, so it would perhaps entail putting it in a sort of dark, warm, dry spot for like 2 weeks. If you want to line it up with a moon cycle, that's also an option. Yeah, just a few weeks for the oils to actually get infused with the herbs, and then you can leave it like that if you want, or you can actually just put like a muslin cloth or a strainer and strain out all of the herbs, and then you just have your smooth oil. With essential oils, of course, you have to be a bit careful because certain oils need obviously a certain like dilution ratio. I'm not like a massive expert, so do your research, I emphasize, because obviously if you don't dilute your essential oils properly into the oil, then it becomes really irritant on the skin and you could probably hurt yourself, so just be wary of that. But yeah, when you have your spell oil, there's all sorts of things you could do with your oil. You can, like I discussed prior, you can rub it on your candles, you can rub it on your skin. An example could be, you could make a divination oil, and before you do your tarot readings, you can rub the oil on your hands or do like a symbol on your head or whatnot, and then get you in the mood for divination and then practice your tarot. All sorts of little things like that, you can sort of incorporate them into daily rituals. And yeah, it's really up to you just to get creative. So the last spell method I want to discuss are spell bags. Something I see a lot in the online witchcraft community are spell jars, and for me they don't really work as well for me. I don't think they're quite as versatile as spell bags. I'm a spell bag kind of witch, if I'm being honest, but with spell bags at least, they're quite easy to take apart and sort of reuse, if that were. A lot of times that I see people with spell jars, they like burn wax over it to seal, and for me that's just like a wasted jar. I don't know. But anyway, to each their own. I think spell bags are great. With spell bags, obviously you can choose the colour of the bag relating to the intention. You can add in herbs, dry herbs to relate to that intention. You can add crystals. You can get really creative. Like with any spells, it's really up to you. Use your intuition. Specifically with spell bags, for example, if you're doing like a money spell bag, you can add in coins, because that is a symbol literally of money. Another thing with spell bags is the actual bags themselves are quite easy to make. All you really need is cloth and string. Although I just find myself with abundance of these. I don't know why. I think over my years of practice I just randomly found myself with loads of these tiny bags, and I don't know. I don't really know why. But anyway, obviously as you fill your bag with your desired objects, crystals, herbs, whatever you choose, again with the, you want to speak aloud why you're adding in what you are adding in, what, you know, your intention, your desire, your manifestation. You want to always relate it back to that, and you want to visualize and you can charge it. This, you know, in the ways in which you charge and activate are really personal to you, but in a way you want to make sure that you're practicing that energy work. As they kind of act like talismans in a way, the ways in which you activate it are maybe perhaps a bit different to petitions and sigils. So you can place them anywhere you want. You could place them under your bed, under your pillow if it's a dream pillow, in a dark corner somewhere that it can't be seen. It can be anywhere. You can bury it in your back garden, but in your back garden. I want to emphasise that. I personally am an environmentally friendly witch. I do not support littering in public spaces, but in general the earth. I don't even bury things in my garden, but again, to each their own. I'm not going to call you out if you're doing it in your own private space, but do not bury things in the wild, because you just don't know what damage it's going to have to that ecosystem, and it is littering, in my opinion. So yes, that's why I'm emphasising in your own garden space. But yeah, that is pretty much it. It's up to you how you choose to activate it, where you choose to place it, but it is literally essentially just putting things with intention into a bag, charging it, and there you go. You have your spell bag, your little talisman, and that is essentially it. So those are 5 basic spell methods. Spellcrafting is a massively creatively intuitive practice. It's up to you how you craft your spells, and you can make it as personal as you want. You can make it as simple or as like really complicated as you desire. You could combine all 5 of these spell methods if you wanted to. And you could just do one. It really doesn't matter. So long as, you know, it's your own magic, it's your own sort of spell crafting, then I think that it's going to be effective. Don't be afraid to get experimental, and I think that's the thing. With spellcrafting, there's going to be some trial and error, and it's going to happen. You know, don't be afraid. As a beginner, it's difficult to really know how to begin, because I see constantly people getting afraid of failure, afraid of getting things wrong and making mistakes, but just accept that it's going to happen. Every witch goes through it. There's always going to be a mistake to be made, so long as you're actually learning from it, then it's okay, isn't it? Just be careful, you know, be researched and be prepared, but also don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's all about trial and error, and practice makes perfect. But yeah, that's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed watching. Hope this was useful for any of you beginners, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!